Hi, I'm Pam, and today I'm talking about my top 5 games on the NES. The NES holds a special place in my heart because it was my first console. I remember being around 6 or 7 years old before I had one, and I was always over at my neighbor's house because he had a Nintendo, so I was always playing with him. And we'd play Super Mario Brothers, we'd play Duck Hunt, sort of all the common games that kids had at that age. And then finally, I don't remember if it was before my birthday or Christmas, but I was snooping around looking for presents, and I found it, a Nintendo set, in the closet, unwrapped, and while it sort of ruined the surprise for me, I was ecstatic that I was finally going to have an NES of my own. It's not a system I had a ton of games for, but the ones that I did have, I played through a lot. Most of my top 5 games on the NES aren't the super popular ones that everyone talks about. Most of them. However, one of them is, so we'll do that one first. It's Super Mario Bros. 3. Super Mario Bros. 3 was developed by Nintendo and released in North America in 1990. What do I really need to say about this game? It's a platformer where you play the eponymous plumber who eats mushrooms and has to save the princess from one castle or another. I remember Super Mario Bros. 3 just looking amazing compared to the games that had come before it. The colors are bright and vibrant, the backgrounds are varied, everything really just looks great. While Mario's a fairly standard platformer, it just does everything really well. It controls great, the level design is excellent, and it offers a lot of variation in the different worlds that you can go to. Plus, who doesn't love to dress up as a tanuki? The platforming is enhanced by a great overworld map, which comes with mini-games that sort of break up the action. Add to that the great soundtrack and sound effects that worm your way into your brain and never really get out, and you basically have an excellent game. Now, the one thing I never understood about Mario 3 players, and this applies to pretty much everyone I've ever played with or watched play the game, is that most people just want to go straight for those warp whistles. And I always wonder, why do you want to skip half the game? And if you've never seen levels 3 or 7, can you really say you beat it? My next favorite game is The Guardian Legend. The Guardian Legend was developed by Compile and released in North America in 1989. You play the Guardian, who is trying to save the Earth from a large planet-like object which is infested with aliens and hurtling towards it. You do this by infiltrating the object, deactivating its safety devices, and making it self-destruct. The Guardian Legend is not a game that I played as a kid. I just played it for the first time recently, but it quickly became a favorite of mine. What makes it so special? Well, it's the fact that it doesn't stick to just one genre. Instead, it combines overhead action-adventure, similar to Legend of Zelda, with the vertical shoot-'em-up action that Compile is known for. Having 2 genres in one game immediately adds more variety and just makes it more interesting. The gameplay is fun, and there are a ton of different weapons to use. The shoot-'em-up action, which are the segments that I personally prefer, are enhanced by the sort of adventure RPG elements, which let you get stronger by getting more health and more weapon power as you go through the game. There's even some puzzle solving when it comes to opening the corridor doors to get to the shoot-'em-up sections. Plus, the protagonist of this game is a woman who can transform into a spaceship. That's what I want to be when I grow up. My next favorite game is StarTropics. StarTropics was developed by Nintendo and released in 1990. It's a top-down action-adventure game where you play as Mike Jones, an American baseball player who's searching for his lost uncle, the archaeologist Dr. Jones. No, not that Dr. Jones. Now, StarTropics is one of those games that I find both amazing and kind of annoying in turn. While there are mechanics in the game that I find frustrating, it's just one of those games that I have so many memories of, and those get tied into how I feel about it now. So even when there is that frustration there, just putting on the game and hearing that music automatically makes me feel better. All of the music from the game is basically etched into my head, from the bubbly opening theme music to the mournful game over screen. This isn't the most original game out there. Basically, all of the enemies in StarTropics are directly ripped from Legend of Zelda, and there's also a lot of similarities to Zelda 2. However, since I played this as a kid and not Zelda, this is the one that I like better. And of course, one of the things that really sticks out about this game is the whole dipping the letter in water bit. There's a part where you have to enter a code in your navcom in your submarine, and in order to do that, you have to take a piece of paper that came with the game manual and dip it in water, and then invisible ink will appear and give you the code for the game. And that's just, this special little something that makes a game sort of stick with you forever and is something that you always remember doing just because it was so unique. My next favorite game is Gun-Nac. Gun-Nac is a shoot-'em-up that was developed by Compile and released in North America in 1991. In a galaxy far, 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 far away, the Galactic Federation has created a synthetic star system where everything is hip. One day, a strange cosmic energy causes inanimate objects to spring to life and attack. As Commander Gun-Nac, you are tasked with putting things right. Gun-Nac is another game that I hadn't played until recently. Besides being the top-notch shooter that you'd expect from Compile, with great controls, good gameplay, a variety of weapons and enemies, what I love about Gun-Nac is that it's just so goofy. I love shoot-'em-ups, but they can start to feel a little samey. Gun-Nac solves this problem by entering the realm of the bizarre. I mean, even the cover art has killer carrots on it, and one of the first bosses is an evil robo-bunny. Also, while these kind of games aren't really known for their social commentary, the ideas of the food and products we mass consume and the currency we so rely on rising up and attacking us sure seems to say something. And lastly, while this may not be the best game quality-wise, in terms of nostalgia and sheer numbers of times I've beaten it, my number one game on the NES is Felix the Cat. Felix the Cat was developed by Hudson Soft and released in 1992. Based on the cartoon cat who's been around since 1919, Felix is a platform game where you play as the titular cat and are out to rescue your kidnapped girlfriend Kitty. Felix is a game I used to rent from Blockbuster Video pretty much every weekend. I'd always go there with the intention of trying something new, but inevitably I would always walk away with Felix. Until finally, one weekend it was in the sale bin and my mom bought it for me and it was finally mine. Since it came out in 1992, which was after the Super Nintendo released, Felix wasn't exactly a smashing success. However, its late release meant that Hudson Soft knew how to use the NES hardware to get the most out of the game. As a result, I think it's one of the prettiest games on the NES, with a fantastic color palette and really good animations and sprites. As Felix, you get to use a number of different power-ups that change whether you're on land, sea, or sky. This means you could be riding a dolphin, or flying a hot air balloon. You could be driving a car, or just using Felix's handy magic bag of tricks. Now, while Felix isn't the most challenging game out there, to me this is actually a plus, as I find constantly looking at game over screens is rather frustrating, so I'm happy that this is one that I can get through the whole thing in one sitting. Overall, Felix is just a really well put together platformer that's fun, pretty, and lets you play as a magic cat. What more could you want? So that's my top 5 games on the NES. Be sure to leave me a comment and let me know what your favorite games on the system are. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Fight! Thanks so much for watching. If you like lists, I have more of them. Check out my top 5 games on the PS1 and PS2.